Of emergency medicine physicians is making history in Kennebec County. They are the first physician-only EMS response team in northern New England. The goal is simple: to save more lives. Joy Hollowell tells us about MD3.
When we come in, we try to...
If you're sick enough or injured severely enough that the EMS team is concerned that you won't live to make it to the emergency department,
I pull out all of my medications here, which we've divided into 2 separate bags.
then having a team like this that can respond to you and bring the emergency department to the patient
You can see here, everything is labeled.
can be the difference between life and death.
A team of up to 9 elite EMS physicians make up the Kennebec MD3 team. The name is a nod to Kennebec County's EMS Region 3. Their headquarters is Delta Ambulance in Waterville. These specially trained doctors work shifts here in addition to their regular jobs, ready to respond to the most dire 911 calls.
We've got several things here, which doesn't look like a lot, but I promise we have a ton of equipment packed in here.
The physicians drive to emergency calls in a separate, specially equipped SUV, although they can be requested to board ambulances if necessary.
So in here, what we have are kits that we've actually put together that allow for more advanced care beyond the traditional EMS scope of practice.
Funding from ARPA and Kennebec County is paying for the year-long pilot program. Dr. Tim Pye says after that, they'll need a yearly operating budget of $350,000 to keep their doctors on call Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. Pye says so far this year, they've responded to more than 170 calls. And studies show, particularly in cases of cardiac arrest, more lives are saved when a physician is on scene.
Our goal is to teach as many EMTs, paramedics as we can so that we're sharing our knowledge base as EMS physicians.
MD3, could you please show us responding up towards Clinton Road? In this situation where we have somebody who's unresponsive in a vehicle, it can be a very, very sick person.
A few minutes later, those on scene determine an EMS physician is not needed.
MD3, copy. We do this because we think it's the right thing to do.
Joy Hollowell, WABI TV5 News, Waterville.
Maine Medical Center offers a fellowship program where a doctor may be asked to join the Portland Fire Department on calls.